Welcome, my friends, to the Hunter and the Beast, the first crossover Lord Pack for Warhammer 2, and hopefully one of many still to come. It is the age of the Dread Saurian, as the largest predator in Warhammer Fantasy Battle stalks the land once more. A kaiju that can spell disaster for your foe, or yourself, depending on when and where you unleash them. And I figured for its debut on Milk and Cookies Total War, might as well go big or go home, right? 2 dinos are better than 1. Dread Saurian Double Trouble, backed up by Sacred Kroxigors and their Space Lizard Power Fists. For the old ones, they shall know no fear. Those aren't the only new kids on the block. I've got a Fire Salon this battle, and Life Salon are in the game now as well. Lore of Magic, a lot of people thought dinos would never get, but here they are. 2 new Salon, a bunch of new toys, and Reptilian Rage as they face down the hated Norskins, led by none other than Heir of Carthage. And because this is such an auspicious day, you guys are going to get 2 battle replays for the price of 1, so very much hope you enjoy that. But it's Norsca, one of the best monster hunting factions in the game. Fimir, Skinwolves, Marauder Hunters, they're all a big threat, just not quite as big a threat as Dread Saurians. 750 weapon strength, more than 500 of that is AP, big melee attack value of 52, low melee defense of 26, and a huge hitbox, which can be an issue because they catch missiles and cannon fire like it's their job. There's no such thing as dodging with them. You beeline straight for the heart of an enemy formation and hope you can rip it out before the beast is brought low. I need to be clear, the Dread Saurian is not an auto-include monster in any way, shape, or form. From what I've seen up to this point, the Feral variant is by far the best value, because the Feral version is 2300 and basically comes with the same stats as the Howdah. The only difference is that it rampages and doesn't have a missile attack. But you can control that rampage now with Cold-Blooded, and the non-rampage version is 3200, 900 gold more expensive. You can bring 3 skinks for the difference in price there. Sacred Kroxigors are super cool. Think of them like Fimir, magical attacks, huge weapon strength. They're more of an all-arounder compared to the anti-infantry of normal Crocs, but they pay 250 extra for that additional utility in countering monsters and cav. Very good against factions like Bretonnia and Norsca, who rely on physical resist. So yeah, double Dread Saurian, Fire Slun on his Palanquin Throne with Burning Head, Cascading Fire Cloak, Fireball, and Flaming Sword of Ruin, 2 Temple Guard, 2 Sacred Kroxigors, and 3 Skinks. Not a meta build by any means, but can definitely catch a player off guard when you've got this kind of dino power going their way. For Heir of Carthage and Norsca, Shaman Sorcerer of the Lore of Death, Soul Blight, and Doom and Darkness, Wolfric the Wanderer on his Chaotic Pony, a ton of Marauders and Marauder Berserkers. Fimir Great Weapons are fantastic, just unbelievably good in this matchup, and Marauder Hunters in the back line. And I like that pick a lot. I'd maybe toss in an extra unit of Javelins for the bonus for large and monster killing potential there, but the throwing axes are already very good for wrecking monsters, and they are super good for countering Temple Guard too. Go right through those shields. Out on the flanks, 2 units of Skinwolves, which the Fire Salon was brought in anticipation of, to hopefully abuse that weakness to fire regenerating units have, and those are the builds. Looks like some Norscan Warhounds deployed all the way in the back of the map to try to run off some of those skinks, which is a really good idea. Just don't commit them too early, or the Dread Saurians will probably tear up them and munch on them for dinner. And doggy treats are probably not how Norscan Warhounds foresaw at the beginning of this day. They don't really want to be eaten by a big scary dino. So as we start here, we're going to pull back the Dread Saurians because I don't want them to get shredded by Fimir or by that throwing axe missile fire. And what you're going to notice with the skinks at the beginning is that I'm not going to let them take the charge. Norscan Marauders get those juicy combat buffs the longer they stick in melee, and those allow them to absolutely dumpster skinks. So the Power Fists go in first, so the meat shields can last a little bit longer and actually generate some value. You might notice those glorious boulder animations pounding infantry in a red mist. Yeah, it's going to get messy whenever they wade in. But as the Fimir Great Weapons get a little bit closer, Sacred Kroxigors want none of that action boss. They're going to pull them away from the fight, sending the Temple Guard to cover their retreat. Really important to keep the Kroxigors alive, because I'm really going to need them as we get into the later stages here. And we're going to miss the charge with my Kroxigors on the right flank, but we will retreat them with skin cover in short order. And the Dread Saurians are about to begin the feast. And what a smorgasbord for them to enjoy here. Berserkers and a ton of Marauders. Exactly what they love fighting. Tons of infantry to gobble, and as he charges in, Bubble of Nope going down from the Fire Salon to keep him tanky with that 44% warded save. So the Sacred Kroxigors are now in a very good position to not get murdered by the ephemeral group weapons. Flaming Sword of Ruin going down on the right flank to give some fire attacks to those Sacred Kroxigors to hopefully chunk through those Skin Wolves, give them that 22% weakness to fire. Skin Wolves are really going to take a lot of damage in that kind of fight if they stick around. Banishment dealing some damage in the back lines as well, and Temple Guard and the Dread Saurians pushing right through the center and getting into the back. Now those Marauder Hunters are a very important target to take down here. If they're allowed to fire, they will chunk through a Dread Saurian in very short order, and we don't want that. Again, because their hitbox is so large, they will catch every single one of those missiles, and yeah, you might have an 11,000 HP pool, but it'll disappear very quickly with that kind of focus fire. So we need to stay on top of them, and the Skin Wolves charging in from the flank here. Sacred Kroxigor are ready for that, but again, I don't want them fighting a bonus versus large unit. Those Skin Wolves are specialized for killing monsters, so run them away, cover with the Temple Guard, and here we go. RKO coming in from a Kroxigor, slamming down. I love that animation, and they're gonna mess up these Berserkers no problem whatsoever. Physical resist does not matter when you've got that kind of weapon strength and magical attacks, but a beautiful Burning Skull arcing through the flank of the Norskins, gonna shred through that entire side. They're all gonna rout there, and that Flaming Sword of Ruin was really beneficial as well. Dread Saurian mulching some of these Berserkers here. Death finds a way, and as that Burning Head goes right through the enemy formations, this Dread Saurian in the back was rampaging, cold-blooded, gonna get him right under control. And so you can see why maybe spending 900 extra gold for that Howdah variant might not be worth it, when all it requires is the click of one button and you have them in full control again, and they have the exact same stat line, besides the fact that they don't have the blowpipes up top. But I really don't think those blowpipes are worth 900 extra gold. I mean, that is missing out on so much extra units, so much extra mobility and utility when you can't, I mean, you really just can't afford to spend that much on a single monster in Warhammer 2. It really does kind of set you on the back foot. So when you got two of them, though, that's a huge threat, and the Norskins at the moment are having some issue chunking through all that HP, but it's a very nice Soul Blight. Fimir are right on top of those Temple Guard. It's a good engagement backed up by those infantry as well. Over on this side, though, more of the Norscan infantry is just breaking terror routes everywhere, and I mean, think about it. What is more terrifying than a crocodilian monstrosity that is literally 4 or 5 times the size of a Carnosaur, which was previously maybe the apex predator, the apex monster hunter in Warhammer 2. It's crazy, but the Sacred Kroxigors getting in there now, leading the charge with those power fists, gauntlets of the old ones flashing, and punch, Muhammad Ali, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, Flaming Sword of Ruin going down to give them even higher weapon damage, and those flaming attacks. More magical attacks. I guess you can't really stack magical on top of magical, but the Bubble of Nope and a Banishment combined should make for some tasty Norscan treats, and that's going to blow up a bunch of those Marauder Hunters, who are, as of now, probably the biggest threat on the field to the Dread Saurians, and they're both about to terror out to that nasty charge coming in. And in the center, Temple Guard in the front ranks as that Dread Saurian busts right through. Nice rear charge from the Norscan Warhounds, but these dinos are just mincing and turning all of these Norscan Marauders into meat bags, exploding everywhere, and it is very, very entertaining to watch them go to work. And it looks like this double Dread Saurian build is working out pretty nicely. Norskins are, they don't have much left at this point. The Fimir weapons are dead, and their best hope is basically to snipe out the leadership for the Lizardmen. So Wolfert going right at the Slann Mage Priest, popping Hunter of Champions, getting some good attacks into his rear as he tries to pull through. Terror Route kicking in for the Norskins, and the double Dread Saurian are right there to reinforce, to help out. Flaming Sword of Ruin just gonna kick their stats into the stratosphere in terms of their weapon damage. I mean, it's absolutely insane. 750 base, add some more 25% on top of that. Flaming attacks and magical attacks, and yeah, the Norskins in this engagement, no chance. Mass rout, Wolfert goes down. That will be your battle. So the Dread Saurians are a unit that can be countered pretty easily in a lot of circumstances. Again, I don't think they're an auto-include. I think they're going to be relatively niche. The thing about it, though, is that if you manage to overwhelm them or bring it in a matchup they weren't really expecting it, it can really catch an opponent on the back foot. And 750 weapon strength is by far the highest base weapon strength of any monster in the game, bar none. Even Star Dragons don't come close to that. So the fact that you can field that, get that on top of lords, monsters, enemy heroes, enemy high value infantry, you can generate some serious work with that kind of stat line. Anything that will buff up their melee attacks so they're hitting a lot, like Harmonic Convergence, Flaming Sword of Ruin for the weapon damage, anything that allows them to bypass physical resist, turns them into just lawnmowers, essentially. They will go through and gut anything that gets in their way. The biggest issue they have is they are a magnet, and the fact they're so large and their hitbox is so large, everyone's going to see that and say, okay, well, I need to focus that down, and it's a very expensive monster. If you lose that early, you're going to be in for a world of hurt. They were amazing in that game for sure, no question about it. I don't think Air was expecting to see double of those Dread Saurians, and when you've got that much HP to work with, it can kind of make up for the fact that, okay, well, yeah, you can focus one down, but there will still be a massive 2,300 gold monster on the other side, and killing both is a pretty tall order. I do think that a couple more Marauder Cavalry would have been pretty useful in that fight, and maybe some of those Javelins for the bonus versus large, but it wasn't a terrible build from Heir of Carthage at all, and he definitely countered them pretty well in some other games. So in this battle, we're going to go into the next one here, and we're bringing the Ancient Kroxigor and the cohort of Huatl in a matchup against Chaos. Look at the size differential between that Scarvet on a Carnosaur and the Dread Saurian itself. That's insane. It's like 3 times the size, at least. Sigvald the Magnificent and his Mirror Guard plunging into the desert here. And in the second match, I'm against Aura del Saqueo. Looting Time, an up-and-coming Spanish YouTuber who I believe this is his first early access, so congrats to him. Link to his channel and Air's channel will be in pinned comment and description below. In this matchup, though, I'm trying out the Ancient Kroxigor Lord, an anti-infantry blender with a big scary maul, 25 bonus versus infantry base, monster strength gives him AP weapon damage and 16 additional bonus versus infantry, gets up to 41 additional melee attack and weapon strength versus infantry, which is just disgusting. Miasma of Despair lowers leadership, speed, and vigor in an AoE, Horn of Kygor for melee attack and charge bonus, Amulet of Insel gives 66% ward save for 18 seconds, so he's fully kitted out and only 1,700 gold. So for anti-armor work, he seems like a solid choice to me. And the cohort of Huatl you just saw with those blue power fists, physical resist of 15%, armor sundering, and 45 melee attack. But the Scarvet on that Carnosaur, looking at that size difference between that Dread Saurian and himself, crazy. Just so awesome. See the Dread Saurian finally in Total War. Never thought we'd see the day those two monsters are going to work back to back to hopefully kill off all these chaos monstrosities we'll be facing down. So it looks like Harmonic Convergence and Curse of the Midnight Wind on that Skink Priest should only be like 600 gold, 500 maybe, dismounted, very cost efficient, and Harmonic Convergence is probably the biggest thing in this battle to give that Dread Saurian crazy melee attack values. Aspiring champions, a lot of Marauders and Chaos Warriors on the other side of the field. Sigvald with that Auric armor, regeneration, Mirror Guard backing him up. 2 Dragon Ogres on the other side of the field as well. A Lore of Shadows caster with Penumbral Pendulum and Enfeebling Foe. And Great Up and Chaos Warriors out on the flanks with some Marauder Horsemen also ready to do some skirmishing. So, best way to zone out Missile Cavalry, send out some Skinks. They got Missile Black Chance, and they've got plenty of HP, and I don't care about them. They're 300 gold. So let them just absorb some of those Javelin shots, and then I don't have to worry about it whatsoever. We're going to go right into melee. The Chaos Marauders are actually not as good as the Norscan Marauders, because they don't have the same buffs. So we'll let the Skinks go in there, and the cohort of Huatl, Scarvet on the Carnosaur, Dread Saurians, they're all getting stuck in now, and more of that smashing time. Cohort of Huatl getting in there. Blue power fists, they're just gonna absolutely shred through these front ranks of Marauders and hopefully get in on the more important targets relatively soon. But we gotta be really careful of the Summoners of Rage and those Dragon Ogres. Curse of the Midnight Wind going down on the Scarvet and on the Dread Saurian, just to help turn that fight a little bit more in our favor. Should maybe be some terror routes, but gotta be careful because the Summoners of Rage are coming in, and if they get a full surround off on a Dread Saurian, that'll be bad news bears. So we will retreat both those monsters, get them out of that fight, and kind of form a citadel in the back here to make sure we can catch out the Dragon Ogres if they decide to push through and see if they overcommit. Kroxigors, everything else, leaving that fight because the Dragon Ogres are committed, and then if they pull all the way through, maybe get a full surround off and finish them off. And see, you can see the Summoners of Rage maybe overcommitted there. Sigvald trying to back them up. Everything turns around. All that armor sundering, all those magical attacks, all that stuff going in, we're going to start attacking them, and he'll notice it right away and decide to retreat. Pretty good idea, because with all his Kroxigors and a Dread Saurian and a Scarvet nearby, could have been a pretty big loss to lose the Dragon Ogres this early in the battle. And so this is kind of going to be the focal point of the entire game. This bastion right here with the Ancient Kroxigor Lord, Cohort of Watzel, the Sacred Kroxigors, Dread Saurian, and the Scarvet. Most important thing by far, another Curse of the Midnight Wind goes down, and you'll see the Carnosaur, the Dread Saurian, trying to get all the way around the flank and charge in from the rear and get some attacks off into those Summoners of Rage. And they are the biggest target to take down here. If the Dragon Ogres die, then I'm going to be in very good shape, because the bonus force lords will be gone for the Chaos Army. They don't have halberds. The Marauder Horsemen really aren't going to be that good for taking down the Dread Saurian. He's just got 100 armor, a ton of HP. Like, it's just not easy to chunk through at all. So if we can take out those Dragon Ogres, gonna be really, really good. And you can see only a couple of attacks from the Scarvet and from the Dread Saurian. It's an amazing combination. Harmonic conversions, 26 melee attack, 27 melee defense, will counteract the enfeebling foe the Lore of Shadows caster is trying to throw his way. And he's rampaging, but it's kind of irrelevant. And he has a really cool animation where he'll kind of swipe that crest into the ground and drag units alongside him. Just smear them as he moves that massive head from side to side. And this engagement right now is going very well. Problem is, Chaos is winning in literally every other part of the battlefield. On each flank, those skinks were not going to be able to hold up against Chaos Warriors for very long. And so, it's a bit of a monster mash right now. He's done a good job of winning both flanks. I'm definitely winning in the center, cold-blooded to make sure I get that Dread Saurian under control again. And Marauder Horsemen are doing a good job of getting real close and making sure all those shots hit that thick dino booty. And to be completely honest here, it's a pretty hard target to miss. Look at the size of that thing. So Marauders, Chaos Warriors, all of it collapsing into the center, and the Spirit of the Jungle completely surrounded by the hordes of the ruinous powers. Dread Saurian is still alive and kicking though. Cold-blooded still buffing up his leadership. About half HP, maybe a little bit less. Scarvet still stomping around. And look at the surround we have on Sigvald. Ancient Kroxigor Lord gets 41 bonus versus infantry, is beating up on Siggy, and the Cohort of Watzel with their armor sundering 45 melee attack are right there too. Any other lord in the game, I don't care, whatever lord you are as Chaos, you're dead there. You're straight up dead. Whether you're a Chaos Lord on a dragon, whether you're Colex Sun Eater, whether you're any other lord, completely surrounded by that much AP, you are straight up dead. Sigvald, not dead. And so when people say stuff like Footlords are terrible and Footlords need to just get knockdown resistant stuff, like, I get what you're saying, and there are elements of truth to that, but there's also a bit of hyperbole, because Sigvald is the only lord on the Chaos roster who would have any hope of surviving an engagement like that one, and he's just straight up not dying. He's not dying. Any other lord, Archaon, on Dorgar, dead, straight up. So the fact that I'm putting that much bonus for infantry and armor piercing his way, and he's not dead, is very annoying. And so when you say, yo, add knockdown resist to all Footlords, in a lot of circumstances, it's what keeps them viable, because it means that all those huge weapon strength attacks don't necessarily hit them because they get knocked down and they're immune to damage while they are on the ground. So, Curse of the Midnight Wind hitting in a huge chunk, a huge swath of the Chaos Army. Dread Saurian is still stomping around and carving a path. Things are shifting in Chaos' favor though. The Scarvet is alive and going straight for that Shaman Sorcerer, trying to take him out, trying to take out the Lore of Shadows caster, make sure that he cannot cast any more enfeebling foes, any more debuffs towards my army. Ancient Kroxigor Lord still in there, and they and the Cohort of Watzel have not been able to kill off Sigvald yet. That Auric armor That regeneration took him from 1200 HP to 1500 while he was surrounded like that. And so he's still alive and kicking. Siggy's still using Sliver Slash and slicing through the hordes of Lizardmen here. And things are starting to look a little bit dire. There's going to need to be some kind of terror route if the Lizards want to take this battle. The balance more not that favor in Chaos. And it looks like it might be shifting back towards the Spirit of the Jungle. Lord of Heaven's Caster still alive, Ancient Kroxigor still alive, and the Dread Saurian, most important monster on the field by far. Overcast Harmonic Convergence, gonna send his stats into the stratosphere, and he's munching on stuff. Look at that punch animation, that's so sick. It's so casual, just left jab, and people explode. But yeah, like in boxing or whatever, you might knock someone out. When you've got the dad strength of an 8,000-year-old Kroxigor, whatever's on the receiving end just turns to mush. Feels pretty good. He's got a real nice animation set. All those moves seem very casual, but kind of stylish. Not really what you'd expect from a Kroxigor, but I like that. Nice little spin there. Dread Saurian just routed. Scarvet is wavering, but about to take down the Shadow Sorcerer and Ancient Kroxigor, standing in the middle of a bunch of aspiring champions, Mirror Guard, and Sigvald the Magnificent himself. Oh, that was so awesome. And he needs to get out of there. He's going to. He's gonna casually stroll his way out. Like, get out of my way, please. Thanks. I'm out. And he's not actually routing yet. We have one hope here, and that is to strike the head off the Serpent and go right for Sigvald the Magnificent. So the Scarvet and the Carnosaur gonna run down these Marauder Horsemen, get them off the field if we can. They should tear route after this attack. Ooh, that was a nasty one. Killed 4 or 5 at least. They'll tear route, and then Dread Saurian goes down. So the Dread Saurians out of the fight had like 150 kills. Definitely very impactful that game. But Ancient Kroxigor, Cohort of Watzel, only 2 models left. The Skink Priest and the Carnosaur going in. Looking like your Saturday morning cartoons, taking down the big baddie, or trying to anyway. Charging in there, Chaos Warriors and Marauders backing them up, and a couple more punches. Maybe. Gotta bring Sigvald down. Only chance Lizardmen have here. Nice attack, and Siggy does go down. That could be a terror route if the Carnosaur sticks around. Ancient Kroxigor in there, but no, it did not. He died too. Chaos Warriors got the killing blow, and they managed to take it by the skin of their teeth. Really close battle. Did a very good job making sure to chase down that Dread Saurian and not let it come back to the fight. Because even with 500 HP, that thing in the late game after Sigvald died could have been enough to just tear out the Chaos Army, and that would have been a pretty crazy ending. But either way, it was a really fun battle. Maybe not the most micro-intensive I've ever played. Thing is, though, when you go with the Dread Saurian, it just costs so much money. Your support, you're not going to be able to field as much, right? It's just so expensive. And so, what I noticed in every single game that I brought the Dread Saurian was that my support was sometimes lacking a little bit. My infantry lines just weren't very long. They weren't very large. And that can hurt you. But in this case, I'm very glad I brought the Dread Saurian. 150 kills, definitely made up its cost, without question in my mind. Did a ton of work for me that battle. But it can be countered. And I think with Chaos, it's a risky proposition. Because in this particular matchup, very common for Chaos to go for 2 Dragon Ogre Shaggus, and 2 of those beating up on a Dread Saurian, you've got very little chance. You really want Carnosaurs in that fight for that additional melee attack. But what I haven't really tried out yet is who wins in those kind of monster duels. Again, Harmonic Convergence, up to 75 melee attack on a 750 weapon strength monster, it's definitely not bad. So more things need to be tested, more battles coming your way very soon. Dread Saurian, super fun. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace out.